September 12, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart of the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is what the charts look like today. There was no economic data that came out to really move the markets. It's just a regular day. This is on the December 2023 contracts of the E-Futures Mini. And I just want to point out something pretty interesting, which is kind of what I was discussing before. So this is the September contract. There's only 3 more days till expiration. And you can see that there's still quite a bit of volume, but there's clearly more volume now on the December contracts. So as this is about to expire, tomorrow you're going to see an even more larger drop in volume and a larger increase in volume here. Because as trading is switching over to this one is slowly dying out, so I wouldn't recommend trading on this one anymore. Okay, so this is what the chart looked like today. It looked like a gigantic range. So this is the pre-market high here and the pre-market low, which I drew here. And for the most part, it obeyed it. And on a larger time frame, this looks like it was overshoot here. And then it kind of broke out toward the end of the day. Well, maybe the last 2 hours of the day. And then it kind of went into a range here. So you don't have to listen to this entire or watch this entire video. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Just go down to the descriptions below. You can see where I took my setups as well as where I thought I saw trades. I took a total of 3 trades, which are these 3 here, these 3 boxed ones. And this one was a green one. This one was a red one, and this one was a green one. So I'm up 2 green versus 1 red. Now, the second trade, in hindsight, it was kind of a foolish entry because I anticipated something happening. I jumped the gun and jumped in before confirmation of anything. And that's very dangerous because it wasn't even as if it was kind of an engulfing pattern. It was just me thinking I was going to get ahead of everybody else and I jumped in and I paid for it. So it kind of took down. So it became 1 green, 1 red. And then fortunately on the last green, I made my profits back. So, well, not completely, just been kind of was able to end on a kind of a small green day. I'm going to go into the charts right now. I also want to point out that today there was a lot of these little measured move, 2 legs, kind of everywhere. If you zoomed out to the appropriate kind of time frame, like a 10,000 tick chart, you'll see these legs a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to point them out whenever I can, and hopefully I don't forget any. So this is a pre-market. You clearly have an established pre-market high here, and it was coming down. I think there was a pre-market low here. The very first setup I actually saw was right here. You have a new low here. Go ahead and zoom in. Your new low, it's a first entry short, moves back up, creates a second entry short, and then it creates a second entry short failure. So this is what I saw in real time. So this is kind of a bounce off the potential yellow channel because I did draw this yellow channel because I had 1 touch, 2 touch, actually it's a little bit lower. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. And then I thought I had at least 1 touch, 2 touch. So I thought it was kind of coming down and potentially bouncing off this yellow channel, which just happened here. First entry short, second entry short, and I thought it might make another push back up to the top. The failure bar looks pretty strong because it clearly failed and engulfed this one, but it closed with a large wick above it. So it didn't have enough power to push all the way back up. And I really wanted this to be a bullish bar. And the subsequent candle right here, so I just waited. Subsequent candle was a green inside bar. And this one just didn't look that good after all. So it looked kind of tricky. So I abandoned the idea of a trade here. I just kind of noted it for myself. I was debating whether even to market, but it was something I saw and I thought about in real time. So this could have been a trade that I took and most likely would have worried about. And it looked like it would have worked, but in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't take it just because this isn't very clear and I don't want to just kind of guess on it. I want to be a little more certain. My intuition right now as a trader isn't that developed because I would consider myself not very proficient at this strategy. I'm getting better. So this is too early for me to try to be making any good guesses because I don't think I have that many good guesses. Then prices continue moving up, falls into this upward channel that I drew. It breaks out of this yellow channel, consolidates into this into this blue trading range. Now this blue trading range actually had a little bit higher at first, about right here. And it looked like it was obeying it pretty well. Then it breaks out below. So I was wondering, okay, there's a first entry long, second entry long here, but then there's like a third entry long. So I was just watching. I'm thinking at this point, maybe the range is actually a little bit lower to be right here. Actually, I think I had it right here because it looked like it touched a little bit cleaner, but still no entries that I felt comfortable taking. Comes up. Now I like that it's kind of hitting this resistance up here. And I actually drew this blue line because it looked like there's another potential resistance area here, but I was not clear where if this was actually a range. So I was reluctant to actually draw a range down here because it only had one confirmation. So I actually left it off for now. I was just watching, but I was pretty sure there might be a small little range here. Pops around, it breaks through. I'm thinking it might be a fail breakout. Comes up, and so now I actually draw and drag the trading range even lower because I thought, okay, clearly looks like it's one touch, two touch, and here it looks like there's an actual like fail breakout occurring. So I actually took this trade. I saw it as a fail breakout, and I saw a new high. First entry long pulls back. It's about to create a second entry long, and here creates a second entry long. So when I saw this, I was thinking I'm seeing a range. I'm seeing a fail breakout here because I think previously I was thinking maybe it's still here. Then, when it broke out and stayed outside, I dragged it a little bit lower. Finally, when I dragged it to about right here, I thought it was a failed breakout with a second entry long. Now, the signal bar is this doji one. It isn't the best, but I saw it as a potential bottom of the range. Measure move have completed because I saw one leg down here, pulls up, second leg down, and I'm thinking this one still wants to test its high. This is, granted, a very big channel, probably larger than it should be, but I think it wanted to come back up at least on a bigger time frame to test this high. So I saw one push up, pull back, a potential push, second push up. So that's where I actually entered. I actually waited for this to confirm the second entry long broke. So when it was dancing around, I dropped my order one tick above, hoping it'd come back and get me. It did. And also on the same candle, flashed up and let me get out of the trade. So that was pretty nice. I was kind of happy with that one. Then prices continue moving. It gets choppy, breaks out below. Now I noticed it made one attempt up. It didn't hit the other side, came back, and now it's also trying to make a second attempt and it failed. So technically you do have a new low. Well, actually you have a new low here, but of a larger visual, you have a first entry short, second entry short. Now when I saw this, I didn't think of anything. Then when I saw this, I thought this was kind of a weird little pattern that I took this gamble here, but this one's a slightly different gamble now because you're the middle of the trading range, this blue one here. So you could argue, well, why didn't I take, a short here when I saw this? Because I could think of it as similar to this. Well, it's really not that similar. The reason being is here I also was considering I'm at the bottom of the range. I considered it as a failed breakout, and every time it went to the top, it came back to the bottom, to the top, back to the bottom. So I was thinking it might have enough oomph to get back up to the top. If anything, at least push up for my quick 1 point scalp. This is completely different because here it never made it back to the top. And here it's sort of showing a little bit of weakness. It might be coming back down. So I saw it, I didn't take it, and I'm glad I didn't. Then prices continue chopping down, it flashes through. I think we're trading range is broke now. And now I think it's going to come back and test the bottom of this yellow channel. And technically it does because the bottom of the yellow channel is, didn't mean to do that. Bottom of the yellow channel is also the pre-market low. It breaks, kind of chops around here. I don't see a good trade. I saw a, a shortened trend channel coming up. And I also saw this as a triple top or a micro triple top. I saw first entry long. I'm thinking there's a potential second entry long, but I also saw this as a new low. First entry short comes all the way down, then you create a second entry short. So when this is forming, I saw a second entry short, then I saw this candle, and I'm thinking, oh, there could be a failed second entry short here and a potential second entry long. It's setting up pretty nicely for a good second entry long. The problem being is it's below the EMA. And if this confirms a failed second entry short, it's really nice that, okay, yeah, I have two key entry points, but the problem is I'm below the EMA to go long, feels a little risky, and the EMA is coming into play. And I don't have enough room, like 6 ticks, for a quick scalp. So I just kind of had to wait. And I was thinking this could be a failed breakout and this could be a failed breakout, but this could be a failed breakout, pull back, and continue back down. So I just had to wait. It looks like it would have worked, if you entered right here aggressively, you would have gotten your 1 tick move, 1 point move, and it would have continued up. So then choose trading, and I think I have a channel here, one leg down, excuse me, top of the resistance of the channel, and then the bottom support, kind of chopping around. I also notice that I have one leg here, one big leg here, and I drew a second measured move here, and I'm wondering if it's going to come back down and touch this. So I'm just watching and waiting Comes up, it hits this. Now I'm very more confident in this channel because I had one touch, two touch, three touch, one touch, two touch. You could argue this might be a third touch, but I didn't. I just said, okay, well, I trust taking shorts off of this line more than taking longs off of this line. Plus taking shorts off of this top resistance, you're going with trend. So I just have to wait though. It kind of bounces, and lo and behold, it makes the measured move. So that's pretty good. I'm watching. Okay, so I'm wondering if there's going to be a correction now. If prices are going to actually move back into this pre-market trading range, and this could just be a visual larger 10,000 tick chart fail breakout. But I'm just waiting now. So I'm just watching. So I see a new high here, first entry long. I also see a new low, first entry short. So this isn't marked yet, but I'm watching carefully because I'm thinking, okay, maybe this bounce off this resistance could push back to the other side. So I'm looking for a reason to go long, and I don't have any confirmation yet. Here, it gets very close. I do have a first entry short, second entry short, and this second entry short is about to fail. This new high, first entry long, second entry long. This second entry long is about to be confirmed. Boom, it confirms. So it flashes up. And when I saw the second entry long fail second entry short, I was thinking, okay, again, it already flashed through. And I'm wondering, okay, it might come pressing back down. But what I also liked was that the measured move on the bigger time frame was made. But just something told me I wasn't 100% sure if this reversal is true. So I kind of left it alone. I said, you should wait for another confirmation, even though, had you taken the entry here on if this candle, this, I guess this hammer looking candle had just at least broken one tick higher, then I think I would have definitely had my order ready on the next candle, which is yet to print. But since it made a double top, I had to wait. And when I waited, it looked like it opened, flashed down, and then, just kind of chopped around. So I don't quite remember, but I don't think I would have gotten the trade if I wanted to, because I don't think it really came back to pick me up. So I also end up drawing this orange channel going up. And at the time, I was thinking we might be in this small little correction. And I thought maybe it's a little early to think of it as a reversal, but I was kind of conflicted, thinking, yes, it probably is going to come back up to here, but just wait. And so when I waited, I see this higher low confirmation. So I see this higher low confirmation, but the problem is it's a doji and it closed right below the EMA. So that kind of made me pause. By the time the green bar triggered this guy, it was too late. It already got too close to the top of this potential resistance. So the trade was just kind of like, it's unfortunate. If this bar had just been a little cleaner, closed a little bit above and didn't have this tick above, then I think I would have jumped on to ride it up to potentially get out before here. But since it already closed on this bar, it's right at the bottom of the pre-market low. You could see a rejection. You also have another reason for a potential rejection, which is this resistance coming down. So I just had to abandon that trade completely. Flashes up, chops around, and looks like it's kind of floating outside this orange channel. So I actually drew the orange channel slightly higher, which fit pretty nicely because you could say this midline or this two-tier channel now is probably this lower end, and then now it's kind of floating with a bullish bias on the higher end. Chops around, it gets a little, I guess, wobbly or iffy. Keeps moving, and now it breaks through. So now it breaks through. I'm wondering if it's going to come back up and test this high. So I draw this guy here as one gigantic leg, and I'm thinking it might come back and test another gigantic leg. So it comes down. I see this a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This signal bar is decent, but unfortunately, it's a decent signal bar, but it kind of closed below the EMA, and I just don't want to have to deal with that. And prices continue moving up. And so it pushes above the EMA. And this is actually where I get ready to take my second trade. But this is actually a very bad trade. It comes up. I see this. I just think, okay, well, obviously this is a higher low. This price is want to push up and really, really push out above here. And even though it did tick one tick below the previous high, in certain contexts, it could be seen as it made the move and it did test or reach the high. So when I saw this as a higher low, I didn't think about that. I just thought, oh, obviously it wants to push up and through. So I entered right at the high. Right at the high of this previous candle, you can see this blue bar. This is not a good trade. It flashes down. So obviously this was not a higher low. Flashes down, it stops me out. it continues down. So this could have been a higher low. So this could have been a higher low, but it's not confirmed. This could have been a higher low, but it's not confirmed. This could have had a higher low, it's not confirmed. So there was no reason for me to take this trade here. It was pretty foolish. Now it bounces up. Now you could argue that this is a higher low because it's coming back up now. You'll know for sure if the next candle after this one is slightly above this one. It doesn't go below its low. And lo and behold, it is. So this is actually the true higher low and not this bogus higher low that I thought. So why I took that trade and got stopped out? No good reason. This is just emotional. I thought I just want to get another trade in, and that was a poor reason to take any trade. So and rightfully I got punished. Then prices continue moving. So I actually see this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This is a second entry short failure. It looked like all the people that went short right here, thinking, okay, first entry short, second entry short, whether you're playing the midline of the pre-market range, which is this dotted line here, or you just think prices are coming back down, you would have taken a short here, maybe gotten filled, and immediately probably came back up. Looks like it, depending on how aggressive you were, it could have trapped you. If you just kept it one tick above here, you would have been stopped out. It looked like broke down, bounced back up. And this is actually where I took my third trade. I like that it bounced off the BEMA. And I thought it was a possible bounce off of this up channel because I drew one tick, two tick, excuse me, one touch, two touch, three touch. And I thought there might be a channel here. And I was still thinking it wants to come up and test this high. Technically it did, and it made it, but this is a doji. So I thought it was had enough oomph to actually make another big push up. Now, whether that's true or not, I just happen to think that way. I thought it was kind of an aggressive trade because it is running into a possible resistance area. So then I also thought, well, this is one leg up, pull back, a second leg up, and it didn't make the measured move on this one. And all day I've just been noticing there's kind of like all these measured moves that have been occurring, which is like one here, two legs down, one big leg down, the smaller section, one leg down, second leg down. It all seemed to meet. So it looked like there was some very clean two-legged measured moves happening all day. So I entered one tick. I set my limit order slightly back, just kind of right where there's resistance was. And I got filled right at the close of this candle. This candle flashes up, and I had my stop actually below this big one, below the EMA. I wanted to give it enough breathing room. It flashes up, and I was able to get the, I was able to get the, I was able to get out. And then prices continue moving up. It's out, it overshoots this green channel, and now it gets to the top of the pre-market high, and it looks like it's overshooting the pre-market high. So I'm thinking there's a potential fail breakout here. Pops around, and it actually sets up this new high, first entry long, second entry long. This second entry long looks very, very weak because you'll notice it's making lower highs. And also I saw this in a new low, first entry short. This confirms a second entry short. So it looks like it's an overshoot and prices are starting to break back into here. And this could be a true failed breakout. And the price action looks like it's being pulled back in. Also made and completed the second measured move here. It's one leg up, this big orange one came back. And this green one, kind of like the second measured move up. So I saw two key entry points. And I also saw there's enough room to the EMA, which is this blue line here. And it's an overshoot of this, so it made one attempt up, and I'm thinking it might come back down to touch this other side or break out to the other side. So I thought, okay, oh, didn't mean to do that. I thought there's enough reason to go short, but I just came off of a win, a loss, and a win. So I was green for the day slightly. So I thought, I'm just not going to tempt fate. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it alone, but mark it. And so had I taken this trade after this one closed, I think I would have placed, because this is also potential trading range, I would have either placed my entry one tick below here, hoping to get a little less risk to ensure I have enough room to the EMA, or if I was more aggressive, I would have put it one tick below this guy, this candle here. So it looked like it came down. If I had my entry here, I wouldn't have gotten filled. And if I had my entry here, would have gotten filled and would have made me super nervous because it looked like the EMA is pushing things back. Could have been a fail breakout here of this smaller trading range. But then it looks like it would have worked out. Of course, you don't know that at the time. So skipping this trade altogether, I don't feel too bad about, even if I was still trading. But as you can see, it creates this wonderful big move down. And even if you kept one tick behind every previous bar, you might have gotten stopped out here, but you would have gotten this pretty nice runner. Of course, you don't know that at the time, so it's just something I had to kind of not have FOMO over. Prices then continue moving. It looks like it's falling into this yellow channel now. So I draw it because it has one touch, two touch, three touch. The bottom I'm not too sure about, but the bottom I'd be reluctant to take a long because it looks like it's confirming here. And it looks like it's moving back into this larger pre-market trading range. So I don't see any good clean setups yet. And it kind of consolidates. It looks like it's falling into this potential trading range, but it doesn't last very long because originally I was thinking maybe it's down here, but it didn't look right. Through it here, it still kind of didn't look right. So I kind of abandoned it altogether. But then it looked like it was falling into this green trading range, green channel. So a new low, first entry short, pulls up, second entry short. Now this second entry short is a terrible signal bar, but it's getting close to the EMA. If this had only been bearish, then I might have taken it, but it is also in a consolidation zone. It's just two side by side right now. We also have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Same reason that this isn't a good short is this isn't a very good long because this is a terrible signal bar. You're relying on the bottom of this bounce and potentially off the bounce of this pre-market low. But this pre-market low hasn't been consistently strong because it had this big violation back here. So who's to say that there couldn't have been a big violation setting up right here? So you don't know that. I certainly didn't, so I had to leave it alone. I did see a second entry short here. The thing I don't like about this second entry short is there's a new low, first entry short, it pulls back and it's about to make a second entry short. The second entry short forms here. It's a very nice bearish bar. There looks like there's just enough room to maybe get a quick scalp before you hit the bottom. But what gave me pause is it looks like a one crazy flash down, it immediately pulls all the way back up, right? So this is technically a second entry short, but it looks like bulls might be in control. So then this one forms, and then now it looks like bears might be in control. But this one, this candle just gave me a weird feeling. I just didn't like that it had flashed all the way down, already bounced off this bottom. So it made me confused, thinking, well, maybe it might actually bounce up through the top. I wasn't 100% sure that this resistance on this green channel was strong enough to keep prices down because you're already kind of getting to the lows. And here, even though there's about enough room for a quick scalp, you're just going to be pushing really close to the bottom. So I just wasn't really sure. I just didn't like just the look of it. And so I thought, well, I just need to sit back and wait. Looks like it would have worked, flashes through, and it looks like it would have worked pretty nicely. Then falls into this yellow channel, kind of comes back down. It looked like there's one big leg, which I drew with this black line to about right here, and the second leg. So I'm wondering if it's going to make a measured move down to here. Similar to this big measured move here, went all the way down, pulls up, and it made a second nice leg down. Also made a nice leg up, pull back, another nice leg up. So it's just kind of a lot of clean looking measured moves today, which is kind of interesting. Is a lot better trading than it was in the last few days. Prices continue moving down. It breaks out. So I was thinking there might have been this overlapping green channel at the time. And then I was also playing potentially this yellow channel. So it didn't really matter. I didn't really see a clean setup that I felt comfortable taking. Chops through, and then I actually see a failed second entry short here. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. One thing going against this trade immediately is it's too late in the day. The second thing is I saw this as a short trend channel going up. It's a break, and it made another move up. So I was thinking there's potential measured move here. Let me just go ahead and do this. Let me zoom in. Okay. And this looks like it could be a failed second entry short coming right off the EMA, could be a potential reversal. I was playing with the idea that potentially you don't see the end result yet. So I was thinking maybe this is actually one big leg. And could it be that this is a break of this bigger leg, even though there's two small legs in between? And looked like it would have worked. The thing was, to suddenly expand it so early, I was thinking, well, what happened to this leg here? There's a break, and it already made a new high. So to take an entry here felt a little risky. It could come up and then immediately, when this one formed, could flash back down. So it could be one push up It made this high already, so it could be seen as one push up, second push up. Now it's ready to come back down. One push down, pulls up, second push down. So that was a little bit conflicting in my thinking. And as I said, it's pretty late in the day, so I didn't want to. I wasn't really taking any more trades, but I didn't. If I was, I think I would just be hesitating, thinking, okay, well, let's not get too ambitious here. The prices continue moving up, and then it just kind of goes and chops into the close. So it was kind of an interesting day. There was a lot, uh, definitely easier than the past 2 days. There were some measured moves that were all kind of everywhere. So that was kind of surprising. But overall, it was interesting. This second trade definitely should not have occurred. And I think in if I had better discipline and didn't and get emotional and jump the gun, I would have had two green trades today instead of two green and one red. So hopefully that was helpful.